Everybody talks about buying a duplex, living for cheap, and then turning it into a cash flowing rental later. But does this actually work in Boise right now? Let's break down a real deal in the Boise Bench and see what the numbers actually say. Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Ryan Spath. I'm an investor turned agent here in Boise, and I help people buy their first house hack, turn their current home into a rental, and build meaningful real estate portfolios over time. Because the goal isn't just to buy one property, it's to stack small green houses on the board of life and exchange them for a big red hotel when the equity matters. Without further ado, let's take a look at this duplex and see if the numbers actually work. Okay, so we've got this duplex here on the Boise Bench, 2623 Fountain Street. Let's take a look at this location. I no longer have internet, so it looks like we're starting over. Oh, I do. We're rolling with it. I don't do multiple takes. So you can see this guy in relative to downtown, pretty close in the Bench area, near the airport, close to the interstate. All in all, pretty good location. Let's glance through these photos, see what we've got going on here. Looks like a brick building, covered carport. Definitely needs to be remodeled. Looks to be original. Looks like they tried to update a little bit with some stainless appliances. I'll be interested to see if they're sharing the rent numbers on this guy. Okay, so this will work to kind of dive in a little bit deeper and see what we got going on here. So this guy's 450 grand. With this property, we're going to use an FHA loan, and we're only going to put 3.5% down. That's the power and awesomeness of the strategy. And then the FHA rates, they did pump a little bit. I believe they're right around 5.75. Let's take a look on this and see. I like this website. It's called Mortgage News Daily. It's not the end all be all, but it's good enough to kind of tell you where you need to be. So this is saying actually a little higher. If you can see here, it says 584 for FHA. So we're just gonna roll off of these numbers. We're gonna plug that in. So we're just gonna pull all the information from this listing. So we can see the taxes are 4176. So one thing to consider about the taxes, if you are going to use this as a primary residence, you're going to get a homeowner's exemption, and this number is going to go down a little bit. We're not going to dive into that too deep, but that's something that we would dive into if this were something that you were interested in and you wanted to run these numbers on your personal scenario. For the insurance, just from helping clients get properties in this area, I know it's going to be right around 1,200, maybe a little bit less, give or take. The insurance is changing a little bit in the valley. They're looking at the roof's age in a little more depth, similar to they are in other markets. So for this example, again, we're just going to use $1,200 for the insurance. And then one thing to consider with your FHA loans, you're going to have a mortgage insurance premium. One thing about FHA loans in comparison to conventional, FHA, you are going to get a better rate. You put a little bit less down, but this mortgage insurance premium, it's never going to fall off the loan. So if you had a conventional and the property goes up in value over 10, 12 years and now you have 20% equity, you can likely get an appraisal and you can get that insurance to fall off. But with the FHA programs, it never falls off. It's always going to be there. So that's the only downside about this. You could get this with a lower down initially and then refinance later to a conventional. So there are alternatives. Just wanted to share a little bit of insight with you guys, just something to consider. So diving back in here, let's look and see. One of the reasons I like homes.com, if you guys have been following me for a little bit, you can click this, see all MLS data, and it's going to tell you if there's anything that we should consider. And so we can see it's 2 separate meters. So this is an actual duplex. And then it says the total rent is $1,800. So they're getting $900 a side. So it sounds like this guy is currently occupied. So we're gonna just plug 900 in here. So as it sits, if we were to buy this guy and we are going to move in one side and rent the other, and we needed this rental income to help us qualify for this accusation, unfortunately, we are going to have to use this $900 to help us qualify for the loan if we needed that to help give us income. And now let's dive in a little bit deeper and see what the rents are in this area. One of my favorite sites to use is Rent-A-Meter. So with this, we're just going to take this address and paste it here. We're going to put the 900 that we're getting. So this is a 2-bed, 1-bath. It's an apartment, and we're just going to check this out and kind of see what's going on here. Okay. So you can see we're getting a mixed bag of rents. It looks like everything from $800 all the way up to $1,625, $1,350, $1,500. So let's look at one of these higher price rentals and kind of see what they're getting for. Let's see if there's any difference in what kind of property it is. So when I'm looking for rental comps, I'm just going to go to something like Zillow. I'm going to copy and paste the address in here, and I'm going to see just what kind of property it is, right? So I literally just see this guy's getting $1,625. It's a townhome. I'm just copying this and I'm going to paste it in Zillow, and I'm going to look at the finishes and see if there's anything special about this property as to why they're getting so much more rent than we are. So it does look like it's been updated. Looks like it has LVP floors, nicer bathrooms, painted, fresh carpet, decent little kitchen, maybe a balcony. And let's look at this guy that's getting $1,495 and see if there's anything going on here that we need to know about. So again, I'm just copying and pasting this in here. Okay, so it's an apartment building. So it might be, we would have to go to that website to see what the properties are looking like. Let's look at another one that has higher rents. So we're just going to take this guy. We're going to plug it in here. Some more apartments. Let's go to these and see what they're doing here. Okay. Oh, these are nicer. Okay. Yeah, nice apartments. So you can see if we want to get higher rents in this area, this is the type of remodel that we're going to have to do. Looks like this guy has a little playground, maybe a pool, a couple amenities, just an older building that's been updated, which is good to know for us, right? If this were the property for us, we know that we're going to have to obviously update this to get market rents. Let's see if it says anything about how long these tenants have been here, if they're paying $900. It does not, but I'm sure that if these guys are paying under $1,000, they're probably likely long-term tenants. I think it's safe to say that we could easily get $1,300 as the property sits, even though it's not updated. I'm going to guess we could likely get $1,500 once these guys are updated. This is just a basic. This isn't the end all be all, but this is kind of something basic that I've thrown together that I use when we renovate our properties. So this thing's 1,650 square feet total. So we're just going to plug this in here. 1,650 divided by 2. So 825. So to replace the floors, paint it, new appliances, some lighting, some countertops, etc., it's going to be a little over 22 grand a unit. So this is something we would definitely want to consider if this were the property that we were going to get, because obviously if we are just scrappy, we're young, we're getting into real estate investing and we have, 25 grand, obviously a little more. We don't want to zero ourselves out. I always recommend having 3 to 6 months worth of reserves. So this would cost us 25K to get into with the 3.5% down, and then the normal closing costs of say 2.5%, kind of plus or minus. So as we saw here, if we were going to live in this and update the units, it's going to be a little over 20 grand. So something like this would be a good idea if we wanted to break into the housing market, B, we're trying to figure out our landlording thing, and C, as we are living in one side, we can likely update it, right? Like it's not that hard to install floors. It's not that hard to paint the walls, to just do basic improvements that are going to push the value of the property up and the rents. So just kind of something to consider, right? And then when we look at this, so once we are able to get that, well, let's do it with the $900 they're getting and kind of see where it lands. So we always want to factor in for vacancy. Right now in Ada County, it's tightening even more. It's a little less than 4, but we'll just put 4 because obviously people are going to move out. And when you're getting into investing, you want to plan for these kind of things, right? You don't want to assume that you're never going to have vacancy, even if you do self-manage, because what's going to happen if your tenant on the other side moves out? Say you got a little bit of money and you want to renovate that other side. You don't want to live through the renovation. Something like that yourself, if you're working, it's probably going to take a month and a half at least, right? So just things to consider. And then if we are living here, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to take care of the lawn. However, once we do move out and move on to our next property, right? Because the goal of investing is to stack multiple assets, so that way in time you have equity, you're controlling equity, something meaningful that you can use to get a better, more meaningful return on. So just underwriting this for the future. And then a 16% is a pretty modest number to save for both repairs and capital expenditures, especially this unit. It doesn't say how old the systems are, the HVAC, the pipes likely could need to be replaced. I've had to replace pipes both in Florida and here in Idaho. So how old is this property? 61. So these are things that we would definitely want to walk and look at for the property. We'd want to look at the age of the roof. We'd want to look at the age of the HVAC systems. Remember, this is duplex. So if this does have a central HVAC, which some of these older properties on the Bench area, they do not. People just pop window units in. But if it does have an HVAC, right now HVACs are $6,000-8,000. So times 2, that would be 12 to 16 grand. Water heaters not as expensive, but still $1,000 to $2,000 depending on if you're going to install it or pay a plumber to do this for you. So just things to kind of consider when we're looking at the age of the property. Yes, we do want to get into real estate investing. However, we want to be realistic with where we are, where our financial situation is, and we don't want to get into a situation where we're so excited and so gung-ho that we buy the first property that fits our price point and we don't take all these other things into consideration, because we want to do this forever, right? Like we want to build a meaningful portfolio. We want to stack these properties. We want to start with 1, go to 2, go to 3, and whatever the individual's goals are. That's the purpose of real estate investing. So just different things to consider, different things to look at. So back on this, as it sits, right? This doesn't really look like the best deal. It is occupied, so if we backed those items out, it might look a little sharper, a little better. And let's just plug this in and see what it would look like when the rents are $1,500. So still, man, this one's tight. This one may not be something to move forward with, even when we move out and we're getting $1,500 aside, assuming we're able to do that. it doesn't really look that good, right? We're going to lose money when we take into consideration vacancy, paying someone to mow the lawn, and then we're saving a larger amount of money to save up for future repairs, improving the building, etc. And even if you zero these things out, right? So we've got what we're saving $100, 120 for vacancy, and we're saving up 480 for this. So $600. You're still losing $200. So this property may or may not work for you, kind of depending on what your goals are, what your long term goals are. If your goal was to just buy a property and have it offset your housing expenses, and you need the rent to help you qualify, this could be a contender. But again, just things to consider as we're looking into this strategy. So my name is Ryan Spath. I'm an investor turned agent here in the Treasure Valley in Boise, and I have a passion for helping people. I want to help give you the right information and give you the tools that you need to succeed and be a successful long-term investor. If you found value from this video, which I hope you did, I would love to serve you. I'd love to help you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I will have all my contact information. You can always just give me a call, shoot me a text, give me a DM, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good day.